Hey everybody on IG. We are getting the streams fired up here. Hold tight. We're going to be going live talking about winter marketing and how to get all the leads and jobs you need for winter. So hold tight. As normal, countdown begins. All the streams are firing up. Hey everybody, happy Friday. Working from home as usual on Friday on a kind of rainy, humid, warm fall day here in Minnesota. I am Nick Slavic. I'm the proprietor of the Nick Slavic Painting and Restoration Company, also the host of this show, Ask a Painter Live. It is a weekly live show going on almost 9 years where we talk about the life of a master craftsperson and a paint business entrepreneur. So a lot of coding science, a lot of application stuff, a lot of entrepreneurship. Today, we're going to talk about winter marketing. Here in the upper half of the US and even in the southern parts of the US, our industry kind of goes in swings, right? Seasonally. So up here, we have a pretty severe shift, 6 months outside, 6 months inside. And I'm going to show you what I'm about to do with my company to come up with probably $1.2 million worth of work just in the winter months here in Minnesota. I'm going to show you how we determined that number, how we come up with projections for that, and then how that extrapolates into marketing so that we can have an actionable plan every single week to get all the leads we need to support all of our people. So before we jump into all that, I have graphs, I have data, I have feelings, as you guys can expect. We're going to talk about the PCA's events. Next week is the kickoff for all of the fall events. So number one, PCA in Espanol starts Monday. I am flying out Monday. I will be there with all my Spanish speakers, all my Spanish speaking friends down there. We're going to have an amazing time down in San Antonio on the Riverwalk. Then back to back, 1 week, one location, 2 events. Residential is coming right on the heels of PCA in Espanol. Then a little later on, we go to Nashville for Women in Paint. Then we go to the Hotel Dec Coronado in San Diego for the commercial conference, which will also be a board of directors meeting. So if you want to see all the high-performing directors, board of directors, everything else, we are going to be in person at those events. Obviously, you guys know there are links to all these events, links to potential scholarships. If you're seeing this in time, there might be scholarships where you can go for free. There is also free membership for veterans who own paint business companies, which I am a veteran as well too. And so we're reaching out. And then there's all these events. These are the 4 fall events that are happening for the PCA, the Painting Contractors Association. What's unique about this is the PCA is the industry's only nonprofit. It has been around for 140 years, since the 1880s. Their sole mission is to build better businesses and advocate for you, master craftspeople and paint business owners in our industry. What makes this thing so unique is that it is a nonprofit, and we are the standard bearers in the industry. We have the PCA standards. We are the holders of the education, the master craftsperson, the painter education. We are also the standard holders, the holders of the education for business as well too. And we can do this as a nonprofit because we have nothing to gain but the betterment of the industry and a better local paint economy for everybody involved. There are tons of for-profit companies, all of our wonderful vendors and patrons that contribute to the PCA's efforts, that have education and things like that too. Those are awesome. But what's unique about us is we come at it from a nonprofit's point of view. So we are agnostic, right? We help everyone all the time, every day. So if you, like anything you see today, you're going to love these PCA events, I would urge you to become a member. Membership will actually get you discounted rates. There's scholarships potentially, if you see this in time, for free registration. And also, I'd love to shake your hand at these events and see what we can do together to change this industry. So, all right, let's get down to it, folks. It gets slow in winter, right? It gets slow seasonally across the US, especially in the upper parts of the United States and especially the upper Midwest. I have a very large company statistically based on other stats in the industry, and I have a lot of people to keep busy. And we need to be very intentional about not just standing around waiting for work to come in. We need to make work come in. Even the word of mouth, repeat, and referral, we have a very intentional effort. Some would argue one of the most intentional in the industry, and I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to do from there. So what you're looking at here is my operations manager dashboard. This is the thing that I built out eventually. So when I hire this position out, I can manage my operations manager from a visual cue standpoint. So instead of asking them a bunch of information about the company and them relaying it to me, I can have a dashboard and get a pulse of my company with only the data that I need to tell me how things are going, good, bad, left, right, otherwise, right? So the most important things that an operations manager, my acting position in the company right now, is obviously we want to talk about leads, marketing spend. We want to talk about sales. And I break it out by exterior sales. And you can even see these graphs here. We have average job size. We also have success ratio as well, too. And then obviously we have production, and I track material and labor as well. So we got some pretty strict goals in the company. Everybody's performing really, really well this year. And we are on track to hit our goals this year. But Q4 is right around the corner, 1 week away. And on or about October 1st, we start our winter marketing plan. We typically go October, November, December, January, February, March. March is kind of the swing month where we really go hard with exterior marketing, but we kind of make the shift in March somewhere. I've always been tempted to do it in February, but February has always been like a really slow month. In fact, we usually have a little bit of a rebound in January because of pent up demand from the holidays. It typically dips in February and then March back up, and then we're right into spring, early summer, and then summer stuff. So I track all these numbers daily. I update them from a whole bunch of different sources in my company weekly. And then I kind of get the pulse of the company. And what's really interesting this year is that I overspent on marketing only because we did the street team, right? I'm 38% over my marketing budget because when I started the year, I did not plan on having a street team. I left that in there. I was very tempted to change my marketing budget based on that, but I wanted to show what my original marketing budget was and then the addition of that street team later on in there. We also track leads. Currently, we are 8.25% ahead of all sales, and we're 43%, almost 43% ahead of exterior sales for the year. And we're doing it with 8.63% leads than I had projected. So all of these graphs, which you're looking at now, the gray is what I projected. It's not what I need. It's not my break even. It's not my high goal. It is what I projected, like a nice median, an average of what I projected. So the tail of this dashboard tells you right now that we are performing 8.25% ahead of sales using 8.63% less leads, which is great. There's about a 16-point swing in those different things there. So we're actually doing more with less this year, which is the goal. And my thesis starting in last year is marketing, leads, and sales are going to be the catalyst for everything if we want to get things going. So I devoted myself over the last 18 months to really leaning into marketing on the back of 5 years of some pretty good experiments to try to make sure that we are shoring up this company. And the tale of the industry right now is, where the heck are all the leads? Where the heck are all the jobs? And what I know now is that the industry has shifted, and it's likely 2004 was the year that it fully shifted out of COVID economy, this irrational, exuberant, excess money sort of economy with a tailwind of leads, back to kind of what's normal. This is not a bad economy where there's still a ton of demand. In fact, boy, if you're going to hire, train, and retain people, this is about the best economy I've seen in 15 years as far as labor. So we've leveled down on labor. We have 30% more trade partners than we did one time ago this year. We've carved down our W-2 thing to only the special forces people. We have a rockin' leadership team, and we have capacity to do about double what we currently do now with production staff in the field. And then my job was to make sure that all that stuff is a balanced ecosystem. So we don't want to be too heavy in production, not enough in sales, and then certainly light in marketing. So we really leveled down in marketing. We shifted a lot of our effort from recruiting people, which is much easier now. We shifted that into marketing, and we also leveled down on some advanced sales training in order to increase our success ratio. So if we spend a bunch in marketing, typically if we do nothing, we'll close 30% of our jobs. A well-managed team with a good software and a good estimating system based on data will do about 40%. My goal is to get from about 40%, where we are right now, to about 50%, which means we're going to close about 25% more jobs with the actual stuff that's coming in now with not one more lead, which would be awesome. And that coincides with our goal for 2026, where I would like to see somewhere between a 20 to 30% increase in top line revenue for next year. And I think Q4 is when we're going to make that determination about where to put the pin in. Anyway, I've given you guys a very quick, very data heavy recap right here. Here's what we need for this company. I'm going to start way back by zooming out from a residential repaint company in the upper Midwest. 6 months inside, 6 months outside. And over the years, when we were smaller, we produced about the same amount every week because we had, I don't know, anywhere between 10 and 20 W-2 painters. We could always have enough work to keep about 10 to 20 W-2 painters busy year round. About 6 years ago, we also added some subcontractor and trade partner side of the business here. So we started ramping up in summer a lot because the demand is super high in spring and summer, and we're losing a bunch of that opportunity with only our static labor force. So our labor force swells now in the spring and summer, and then depending on demand, we can either move it down, move it up in winter, depending on what the market demands. I say all this because I started, the longer we get, the more revenue we do and the more professional we get, I realize that I am running two separate businesses that require two separate business plans. We have a winter business and we have a summer business. And like I said, years past, 10 years ago, we were just a $1 million company doing about the same amount every single week, give or take. And now we are not that. Really, when you think about my business now, we're probably a $1 million business unit for the 6 months of winter, and we're about a $2.5 million business unit for the 6 months of summer. Now, obviously, it could move 10% this way or that, winter or summer, depending on commercial work and other things. But those two things, there's such a disparity now between how much we produce in winter and how much we produce in the summer that they almost demand two different strategies, two different type. Now, I'm not going to say two different types of people because we'll retain the same people, but people doing different strategies during that time. And the biggest shift in strategies during that time is honestly marketing. We don't really change our sales process. I like to do the same thing all the time so that when we have fluctuations in data, we know it's because of the clients or an externality and not because of us changing the price or the process or everything else. So basically what we do now is we have a $1 million winter business unit, which is all interior, and we have a $2.5 million business unit, which is exterior and interior. And what we'll probably end up doing is obviously a $1 million business unit in winter, all interior, a $1 million business unit in summer, probably plus or minus 10% in the summer. And then we want to add about a $1.5 million of exterior painting, which we're basically doing right now in the summer portion. So what does this mean now as far as strategy? We obviously can't market the same way. It's completely different. I have done experiments over the last 6 years where I have spent up to $22,000 a month in the winter to try to juice demand up. What I did realize, or at least what I can prove to you from data and feelings in my company, is that somewhere between $7,000 and $11,000 of marketing spend in winter for the people that I touch at the interval that I touch them, I can't make any more demand. I can't make one more lead based on that. And I'm sorry, I'm getting a cold. I'm probably going to sneeze here. Hold on. Pardon me. Sorry, I got a mic right here. That probably didn't sound great. So what I can prove based on my own stuff is that for the time that I've been marketing, for the times that I hit people, for the interval and my type of marketing and my markets that I'm marketing to, I really can't make any more demand or leads past about $7,000 to $11,000 per month in the winter in Minnesota, especially around the holiday time. So here's the strategy that we generally go on here. So this is a vision spreadsheet that I work with. This is sort of my compilation of a whole bunch of data, and I work through a lot of business questions and quandaries through spreadsheets. It really gives me sort of like metrics to look around at. And each one of these things feeds into the other one. And they're not really like a cohesive set of things that you can follow from one to one. But when I think about something, I put it down on this paper here or this spreadsheet. And then I work through that and I realize, oh, we're missing this, or what if this happened? Then I'd make a quick table right next to it, things like that. And basically what we're looking to do, I made some projections. I overlaid the 6 months of winter, which you're seeing up here on the top portion, and then the 12 months all next year. So this 6 months coincides with The last 3 months of this coincides with the first 3 months of this. There's an overlap of these two things. Winter 25, 26, and all of 26 right here. They overlap. And I sort of like, make the graphs connect or make the tables connect, but I start laying out some theories about what would happen with some marketing things. And what you're seeing here is what I'm trying to figure out with marketing. I have about 8 forms of paid marketing, 8 channels of paid marketing, and I have 2 of not paid marketing. The 2 not paid, unpaid forms of marketing are, there's kind of 3, but we really bump them into 2, which is word of mouth, repeat, and referral. So it's really repeat clients and word of mouth and repeat, word of mouth and referral is one, and repeat clients are another one like that. And that constitutes about 62% of all of my work this year, which is about an 18% increase in that same ratio over this time last year, which is absolutely amazing. So what I'm seeing from the data in my company is that a larger percentage of my revenue is coming in from people that we've previously worked for or heard from people that we've previously worked for. That dictates my strategy for this winter, because you can say, well, what about flyers? What about meta? And yes, there will be all those things. But when 62% of your revenue comes from a source, you should probably engage with that source or do something to support it or juice it up. And that's where the biggest strategy shift is going to happen this winter. I made some major bets on marketing in 2025, and I shifted my spend a lot from winter to summer. I went from about 13 zip codes down to 5 and just stacked channels on top of that. We started a street team in the summer, all because we're operating under the theory that we want to be local, which we are. We want to be present, which we are. And we want to add a lot of value to our clients. We want to show images of houses just like the ones that they're in or in their neighborhood. And we constantly want to add value because there's people out there looking for paint jobs, and just standard marketing sometimes doesn't work. You got to get something that catches their eye and adds to their knowledge or adds to their experience of home service projects. And that's what we've been doing. I'm also operating under this macro strategy that I heard from a marketing executive in our industry that says it takes 8 touches over 4 channels in order to get a potential client to remember us or push them into action, call us. 4 channels, 8 touches. So we could be talking about a meta post, we could be talking about a flyer, it could be a van, and it could be an email from you. 4 different channels, 8 touches. So they would need to experience those 4 things 8 times in order to spur them in, statistically speaking, right? If you are only a single channel marketer, it takes 20 touches to get the same result. That's what this marketing executive relayed to me. It makes sense based on the data that I've gathered in my own company, and I can't dispute it. So then when you can't dispute it and you can't disprove it, you kind of absorb it as your marketing strategy. So local present, we want to add value, 4 touches over 8 channels. So now the goal, if you believe this stuff and this is your strategy, you have to say, I need to get at least 4 channels of marketing and get as many touches as I can. So now, instead of just 4 channels of marketing, we do 8 channels of paid marketing, 2 additional channels of unpaid marketing. And we take, in order that we can get so many touches, we took 13 zip codes down to 5, and we're stacking that so fewer people get more touches. The theory being quality over quantity. We want to do about 550 jobs this year, which means we're probably going to have to get about 1,300 or 1,400 people to contact us for an estimate. There's a slough off and a success ratio that goes from lead to estimate. Same thing from estimate to sales as well too. And that's the proverbial funnel like this. Having said all that, here is my strategy for the winter as far as I can tell. I started laying out some numbers to help me kind of make some decisions. Here's all my marketing channels right here. Here's all my 2024 leads. These are all my ratios there of things that I know I can prove, right? And here's my projected leads for 2020, winter of 25-26. And we have a cost per lead, basically, that I've gathered from years past. And so basically, we have a total cost of marketing here. And my initial projection came in at about 7.4% of marketing. I would really like to be close to 5, but I'm willing to spend about 6 to 6.5%. So I'm going to have to carve off a little here. We're still trying to determine the ratio of flyers to meta this winter. We have an average job size for interior work for my company. We have an appointment success ratio. So that means if 100 people contact me for an estimate, how many people actually schedule an estimate? And it's typically about 80% on average in my company. Then we have a sales success ratio, which we have so much data now. I can tell you the difference between a success ratio in the 6 months of winter for interior jobs versus the 6 months of summer for exterior jobs. Very interesting data. Our success ratio actually goes up in winter. We go from about a 38 exterior success ratio to a 42% success ratio for interior work. That means we can project a total amount of revenue on something like this. So right now in these projections, we have one more week to firm this up with my young marketing apprentice, Mason. We're about at least 4, I would argue about 7 points too high on marketing spend right now. And we're about $75,000 short on revenue based on our plan. Easy to make up. We just need to change the ratios of like, where do we spend our money? Is it meta? Is it flyers? Those are our two main sucks of money during that portion of the year. But I will tell you this, biggest shift. If you looked into my winter marketing strategy versus my summer marketing strategy, you would see a couple of things going on. If 62% of our revenue this year comes in from word of mouth, repeat, and referrals, we are going to level up on those sort of things. So we're actually going to take spending down a little bit. And instead of doing flyers, EDDM style to a whole bunch of people, we're likely going to divert some of that budget into doing postcards, which is basically a flyer, to previous clients. So we have a monstrous list, thousands and thousands and thousands of previous clients. And we could either do every door direct mail to our 5 zip codes and potentially expand our market. We have decided a little more to penetrate our market. Those are two basic sort of marketing strategies: expansion, or take your current market and just penetrate deeply through it and capture as many people in your current market as possible. All the data points that we need to spend the majority of our time supporting the majority of where our revenue comes from: word of mouth, repeat, and referral. So here's exactly what that looks like. And through all this stuff, we're probably going to end up spending, I want to say $80,000 this winter on marketing, give or take. It could be between 60 and 80, give or take. That's fine. We're going to do some EDDM. We're going to do tons of meta ads. We're getting an outsized response on meta lately. And over this last year, the leads are a third of the cost of our flyers, and the average job size is higher, but they're not bringing in the total revenue. The total revenue from flyers is about 3 times what meta does. So now you have that devil's sort of choice, lesser of two evils sort of there. But through all this stuff, this is a fairly sophisticated thing that I've built over about 6 years, although I would argue it's pretty simple. If you're wondering, what can I take from this and what can I do right now in order to get leads? I will tell you this. I think you should carve out what I would call my reactivation strategy in my company and start doing that right away. Before I get into this, let's take a look into some questions here. Let's see. Tony Joseph, is there anything you don't have data for? You are the man. Oh, thank you for that. I appreciate that. There's tons of things I don't have data on. I've tried to collect a bunch of that. My mentor and my coaches would argue I'm wasting my time on some of that stuff, although I think it's kind of interesting. Tony Joseph also said, hey, Nick, what's the difference between word of mouth and referral? Not much. We just haven't decided on the actual, we haven't decided on the nomenclature for that. We really could break it down into previous clients and word of mouth. We always just have thrown referral in there. I will tell you this, for consistency of marketing, we've tracked almost every channel of marketing for about 6 years. Referral is in there, word of mouth is in there. Honestly, if I had to do it all over again, I'd probably combine them all. So when I speak of my 2 unpaid forms of marketing, I typically use repeat clients, previous clients in one bucket, which is I've used you before, I'm going to use you again. And then there's referral and word of mouth. I use those words not only because we've used them previously in the company, but because other paint companies might use those words interchangeably. I just want to capture everybody's experience there. So really great question though. I like that a lot. Let's check IG for questions before we go. Thanks for everybody watching. This is so awesome. There's so many people on here. I appreciate all of you very, very much. This is awesome. Okay, so let's talk about the things you can take away from what I'm telling you right now. The goal, we don't want downtime in the winter. We want to support all our people. And not only support all our people, we want to make some money in the winter, be a profitable company. So here's the thing. If you are a smaller paint company, sub $1 million, if you're a single owner operator, I would take this strategy and do this right now. This is the thing that will immediately get you work. It costs the least and the highest success ratio of all time. In fact, I have about a 20x higher success ratio with what I'm about to tell you than with standard paid forms of marketing. And also for perspective, I do not use any marketing vendors outside of somebody to print my flyers and then EDDM sort them for me. I basically tell them where to go, what to do. I give them the flyer and everything else. I do not use any marketing firms for this because I want to control all these experiments, because I want to keep my cost of marketing low. I've devoted myself to figuring this out in-house, and boy, is it paying off. Right now, this strategy, before I get into my winter strategy, we're getting leads for about 15 to 20% less this year than we were last year in a year where leads are super hard to get. So I put my money where my mouth is. I open up my business to you guys, and you can trust the data and my strategy that I'm telling you. Now, it's going to take some rigor. It's going to take some consistency on your part, and you're definitely going to have to start right now if you want winter work. Do not wait till the week before Thanksgiving when you have a gap to do this. Here's the deal. This is what you do right now. If you're a smaller company, almost all of your work is going to come from word of mouth, repeat, and referral clients, right? The basic strategy goes, make a list of everybody you've ever worked for, every lead you've ever got, every estimate you've ever done, and everybody you know, and systematically start at the top, call them, ask them for work. Whether they respond or not, you email them, say either thanks for the call or, hey, I just called and left a voicemail. I would really love the opportunity to estimate a project. I'll follow up again. That is the easiest way. That just takes your effort, which you probably have a lot more time than money in the winter, right? I know in my company we do, certainly. So here is what I would call the reactivation strategy. This is exactly what my company is going to do this winter. We have 2 project managers. They will probably manage 10 to 12 projects per week in the winter, down from a height of about 20 to 22 projects, which means they're going to have a little extra capacity. And my estimate is there's about 1 to 2 hours of time where they could devote to marketing efforts a day in the summer. So here's what we do. 2 project managers are making 10 reactivations per day. The SOP for reactivations is you always call first. You then email. Whether you talk to them or not, you always follow up with an email. And you number 1, thank them for their trust. Number 2, ask them for a job to estimate. And then we have a spreadsheet, and they're going to start working through last year's completed jobs. And there's a whole list of here's all the contact information. Here's what we did for them. Here's the project manager. Here's the estimator. They do 10 of those a day. Our estimators, which I see Estimator Tom, beloved Estimator Tom watching here on Instagram, Tom and Ian have both volunteered to do 20 reactivations a day in the winter here. So they're going to do the same thing, but 20 times. And they're going to do it for about 3 hours a day, give or take. That's the time that they're going to devote to that. So in the summer, they'll typically do 20 to 22 estimates a piece per week. We can do about 40 to 44 estimates a week in the summer. In the winter, we'd probably like them to do 10 or 12, give or take. And by our projections, about half of all the estimates we're going to do, about 5 times 25, 125, 250 estimates we're going to create this winter based on their efforts to do this. And the best part about it is, again, there's a 20 times higher reward on effort with calling past clients and asking them for the next opportunity than there is for taking a random postcard to a random house from somebody who's never touched you before, right? If you believe that strategy of marketing of 4 channels, 8 touches to get something to do something, we've already inserted a bunch of channels into our previous client's life. They heard about us from either a yard sign, a van, a meta ad, a flyer, word of mouth, repeat, all this other stuff. So really, we've already worked them through the 8 touches on 4 channels. We only need 1 touch basically to reactivate them if they have another opportunity. So what you're looking at over the course of a week, each estimator will do 80 reactivations. Each project manager will do 40. That's 120 per estimator project manager team. That's 240 reactivations that we're going to do per week. That's not counting mine or my Doge team, my young coordinator and marketer. So if we have about a 5% success ratio with that, so if we do about 240 reactivations a week times 0.05, that means we're going to schedule 12 estimates a week based on our efforts, based on previous data. If the average job size in my company is, I'm looking for winter AJS, I think we're at about 4,800 times 4,800 times 0.42. That means we're creating an extra $25,000 of revenue per week based on this effort that we already have the capacity for. Based on the 6 months of summer, we have that. Based on 2 estimators, 6 months of winter, This winter, we're going to create an incremental almost $300,000 of revenue just by doing this one effort-based marketing channel. So that's what our projections show. And that's what I would do if I were you right now. Now, a call and an email, I would argue those are two channels. I mean, they're kind of related channels, but they are two different channels to get to a client. Now, if you believe the theory that 4 channels, 8 touches, now, if you're posting on Meta, Facebook and Instagram, there's another 1, potentially 2 touches right there. If you print out some flyers, get a solicitor's permit and go door to door, that's a potential 5th channel right there. If you send an email to all of your previous clients, that's a 6th channel right there. If you happen to have a van in their neighborhood, that's a 7th channel. If you put out a yard sign, that's an 8th channel. Right? And if they ever heard about us from another company or from another client, that's your 9th channel right there. Only half of these channels need to reach the client over 8 touches, and you now have active clients asking you for something. So that's our theory going forward here, folks. I will obviously keep you updated. The reason we are going marketing heavy this year is because I believe all else is going to be determined by leads and sales. It certainly was this last year. In 2024, that was my theory. It got proven right by all the data I have. In 2025, overwhelming success. We're getting leads for cheaper in a time where people are struggling getting leads. We're ahead in sales with less leads. Our sales process is doing better. Our production is ahead of schedule this year too. We have some commercial this year that we've been working on for 3 years in an effort. Again, the long play sort of stuff. And I'm going to be honest with you. I did a personal silent retreat a couple months ago to plan all this out. I did a little mini retreat with my leadership team to round some of this out. I've done a float tank. I've done a bunch of ideation in the woods. I do ideation and silent planning every morning. And the continuous thought I have about every single one of these things is that in a world where people have trouble hiring, training, and retaining people, top talent, and in a world where people are seriously struggling with leads and sales right now, I honestly couldn't be more excited about the winter and then this next summer to come. I'm projecting growth. I'm not projecting a ton of growth. I'm projecting some modest growth that, based on my data, it's hard to argue that we don't have the capabilities for that growth. And it's not crazy 10x growth, anything like that. We're talking 1.1x growth, nice, steady 18 to 30% growth based on the capacity we have with the people who are running a proven process, my beloved leadership team, my beloved painters, my beloved trade partners. We have the capacity for it, and I'm seeing the externalities line up that we can do it. So I've talked a long time. I appreciate the heck out of you guys. If you have any questions about marketing stuff, you know my email address is here, nick@nickslavic.com. You can contact me anytime. I'm happy to work through anything. I'm happy to send you my template. We have a whole bunch of interesting things going on, not only with the PCA events this fall, which I will be at every single one of them. These will be my last as the PCA chairman of the board. I'm going to be there on every single one of them. I'm going to miss all my awesome hunting time here in Minnesota to be with my people out there. It's worth it. This will be my last year as chair. I really want to be out there with everybody doing this sort of thing. Very special project. Very special project happening this fall, which is Marketing Apprentice Mason has been working for almost a year on a huge Ask a Painter Live project. He has cataloged every single episode over the last 9 years. We have an archive on my Google Drive of them, and we are about to re-release, recategorized with extra show notes, all the links and everything you would expect on Spotify and YouTube as a free resource for all of you guys. And over 9 years, Facebook has been the main platform for all this stuff. Starting this year, Facebook is erasing all previous live videos over 6 months old. So I sent Marketer Mason on that. Right now, you can go to Spotify. We haven't formally released all of them yet, but you can see some publicly available stuff that we're working on. I have specific show icons and branding for each type of show. We have shows about entrepreneurship, about self, about coding science. I have guest shows, and they're all categorized with colors, so you can quickly search. If you want anything, we got a 9-year archive. There's nothing you can talk about with coatings, applications, tools, sundries, and the business that I haven't done multiple shows on. And we're about to re-release the entire library in a searchable archive for you. There will be a soon-to-be-released Ask a Painter Live website that will help you with that. There will likely be a large AI feature in that. And also, what I can't tell you right now, but I will tell you in a future show, is that Mastering the Basics is going to be wild this year. That is my most popular series of 8 to 10 shows, depending on the times of year. I take you through the steps to scaling a business and steps to professionalization, things that me and other people have proven works. And I'm going to release that in a very special way this winter for you, so that when we get this marketing plan underway, when we get through the holidays and you want to spend that downtime in the winter to scale and professionalize your business, boy, if I'm going to have something for you this year. It is going to be absolutely awesome. So much to come, guys. We're about to seal up our exterior year in the next 3 to 6 weeks, and then we're going to lay into a nice winter. I'll see you at all the events. Can't thank you enough for all the time. You guys are awesome.